This is big breaking emergency news. We now have urgent warnings being issued by multiple agencies in the federal government. We also have the U.S. military responding to these warnings, and they are now taking parts of their U.S. grid systems offline. The U.S. military is seeing these security risks, and they are now taking parts of the grid offline that supplies their military bases because the security risk to our electric grid is that high, right? So this is a blackout warning. This is a major warning for attacks on our U.S. critical infrastructure, and it's being issued by multiple top agencies right now, and our military is responding to this in multiple capacities. All right, so let's get into what our military is doing, and then we will get into this warning that was issued by the FBI, by the Department of Energy, by the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, by the Transportation Security Administration, all right, by the Australian Cybersecurity Center, by Canadian cybersecurity officials, UK officials, New Zealand, and officials from the FBI, NSA, and CISA are all issuing this critical emergency alert. All right, so this is what's happening in our country. This is a blackout warning for our electric grid, and we could see big attacks happen, and that's what our U.S. military is worried about. You can see here that the U.S. military is responding to these warnings that were just issued. We will get to the more details in just a second, but you can see here, U.S. military bases green energy project with CCP ties disconnected over national security concerns. All right, so this U.S. military base in North Carolina, they recently installed this solar panel grid system to supply their energy. All right, and they are now saying that this is a national security risk, and this could be the case for all the different solar panels and different battery units that have been installed all across the grid. And these solar panels and these quote green energy projects, they are now finding out that they have a bunch of backdoors in them, and they can now be used in a major attack on the U.S. And the U.S. military is worried about it, and they are responding it, and they are removing these solar panels and these batteries at certain military bases. All right, this is why you need to have a generator. Okay, I lived off grid in my RV, living off of a generator and water tanks for years with my family. Okay, you need to have a reliable generator in case the power goes out. You need to have your gas tanks filled up. You need to have oil for your generator. I have an inverter, open frame inverter. All right, that's how you get the cleanest electricity, so you can just plug your phone right in or your computer right in to the generator. And make sure these things are ran outside. Never run them inside. Make sure you run them outside and point the exhaust away from your home. All right, there's still a motor, it's still an engine, and you want to have these things outside. All right, and it's hard to run them in the rain, but personally, I've done it. I've done it before. I've ran my generator multiple times in the rain. I'm not advising to do that, but that's what I've done multiple times. All right, this is what you need to be prepared, because they're warning of a major grid blackout. That's what multiple top federal agencies are now warning of. But you can see here that a U.S. energy developer said it shuttered a battery storage facility connected to its solar panel array located on Marine Corps Base Camp Lejeune in North Carolina, citing national security concerns. North Carolina-based Duke Energy confirmed to Fox News Digital Wednesday the facility, which began operations in April, was disconnected late last week after Republican lawmakers in both the House and Senate raised concerns about the project. Right, just last week this was disconnected because they know something big is coming. They know something big's coming. Do you remember all those senators that were issued satellite phones 6 months ago, going on a year now? Early last year, it was over 50 senators were issued these satellite phones. They are getting ready for something big, and I know I've been issuing these warnings, but we're getting close. We're getting really close, all right? The chess pieces are being moved into place. You can see here, quote, in safeguarding our national security, decisive actions must be taken to eliminate potential threats. That's what Marco Rubio said. Senator Rubio said to Fox News in a statement. He said, quote, disconnecting systems supported by the Chinese Communist Party is a common sense, especially when it comes to securing our military bases. It is important that we as a nation take proactive, not reactive measures to protect ourselves from our adversaries. All right, so they are worried that these military bases are going to be targeted in a major attack on the U.S. and potentially if China moves on Taiwan, these things could be activated to disable the U.S. military from properly responding in the Taiwan situation. All right, so this is a national security alert for all the different parts of the grid that are now connected to this, quote, green energy, which has all been built overseas, and it is also built, a lot of it, with unethical means. A lot of these lithium mines and cobalt mines that are overseas are used with unethical practices, all right? They're using, and it's not green either. It's not green. They're using giant diesel trucks and giant lines moving these minerals across Africa, okay? It's not green. It's not bringing the greenhouse gases down, the CO2 down, nothing. It's none of that. And it's also causing a security risk to our country because there are back doors in a lot of these products that are being sent over. Even the batteries, they are worried that potentially these batteries could be taken over or switched offline in a critical event when the grid goes out, especially things like solar. They're trying to not be connected to fossil fuels and have their own sustaining. This is a solar array on the military base. All right, so even the one on the base, they're worried that if it hits the fan, their backup battery storage could be hit as well. All right, all these things are up for grabs right now, and this is part of the warning that we are also being issued by CISA, NSA, FBI, and all these other top agencies from New Zealand, the UK, Canada, Australia, also issued this emergency alert due to cyber attacks potentially on U.S. critical infrastructure. All right, and they're saying that this has been going on for already 5 years. They have had backdoor access to our critical infrastructure like communications, energy, transportations, and water and wastewater systems. It says they and their partners are releasing this advisory to warn critical infrastructure organizations about this assessment, which is based on observations from U.S. authoring agencies' incident response activities at critical infrastructure organizations compromised by PRC state-sponsored cyber group known as Volt Typhoon. All right, and it's a list of these agencies. I listed them at the beginning, are all reporting on this and signing on to this. They're saying that Volt Typhoon has compromised the IT systems of multiple critical infrastructure systems, primarily in communication, energy, transportation, and water and wastewater sectors in the continental and non-continental United States and its territories, including Guam. It says Volt Typhoon's choice of targets and pattern of behavior is not consistent with traditional cyber espionage or intelligence gathering, and the U.S. authoring agencies assess with high confidence that Volt Typhoon actors are pre-positioning themselves on IT networks to enable lateral movements to OT assess to disrupt functions. The U.S. authoring agencies are concerned about the potential for these actors to use their network access for disruptive effects in the event of potential geopolitical tensions and or military conflicts. All right, they're even saying that they assess that the direct threat to Canada's critical infrastructure from a PRC state-sponsored actors is likely lower than the U.S. infrastructure, but the U.S. and Canada, they have integration between their infrastructure and they could see disruptions as well. All right, they're also saying that Australia and New Zealand could see disruptions to their critical infrastructure. And they're saying that it has been compromised for over 5 years, these back doors. All right, and just last week, I reported on this as well when it broke, that FBI Director Wray said that the same hacking campaign, the Volt Typhoon, showed, quote, China's hackers are positioning on American infrastructure in preparation to wreak havoc and cause real-world harm to American citizens and communities if or when China decides the time has come to strike. All right, that's what the head of the FBI just said last week as well. All right, and now we have the NSA, CISA, and all these other agencies from countries around the world issuing this emergency warning. All right, so this stuff's coming, guys. This stuff's coming. They're saying that it's already all set up. The pieces are already there, and the switch is just waiting to be activated, right? And it's very telling that the U.S. military, they set up this solar panel array last April, and then all of a sudden this week, for some reason, they decided they need to get this battery out of here, and they're really worried about it because they know things are escalating around the world geopolitically. There are lots of tensions and escalations throughout the world right now, and we could see China take advantage of these tensions and try to act in Taiwan while the United States is bogged down in Ukraine and in the Middle East right now, right? That's where a lot of our attention is, and China could take advantage of that to have an attack on Taiwan. All right, that's what's being reported right now. This alert just came out today, Wednesday, February 7th, and we need to be getting ready. You need to have your prepper pantry stocked up. You need to be growing your own food, all right? Have your own seeds, have your own chicks, have your own animals, so you are ready to go in case it hits the fan, in case the power goes out, all right? Have stocks to stay at your home for at least a week or two, at least a few weeks. That's bare minimum. If you really want to be prepared, be ready to sit in your house for potentially months if needed, if the lights go out and the water goes out. This is why you need to have water tanks filled and gas tanks filled for a generator. And these back doors and compromises could be part of the reason why we are seeing so many military aircraft have major issues in the past year or two. Okay, there's been all these issues. Remember that fighter jet that went missing last year, right? There was a B-1 bomber, I believe, or B-2, I don't remember which one it was, that crashed off the coast of Hawaii. Okay, crashed into the water. There's been all these different things going on, and now we have a helicopter crash, and 5 Marines are missing from Nevada. All right, so you can see here it says missing helicopter carrying 5 Marines from Nevada located. So they found the helicopter, but they're still looking for the Marines, and sadly there could be some casualties, most likely. It says Marine Corps Air Station Miramar has reported that aircraft was found by civil authorities in Pine Valley at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on Wednesday. Officials are managing the search and rescue operation through the Wing Operations Command Center and using ground and aviation searches to locate the crew. The missing military personnel were assigned to Marine Heavy Helicopter Squadron 361, which is a part of Marine Aircraft Group 16 and a 3rd Marine Aircraft Wing, according to Marine Corps Air Station Miramar. San Diego deputies received a call at about 1 a.m. Pacific Standard Time Wednesday regarding the missing military helicopter after the aircraft had not shown up at its destination. The helicopter was last seen north of Interstate 8 and Kitchen Road southeast of Pine Valley, Fox 5 of San Diego reported. It says the missing crew was flying a CH-53E Super Stallion helicopter from Creech Air Force Base in Indian Springs, Nevada, to Marine Corps Air Station Miramar in San Diego. It says the helicopter is typically used for heavy lifting and transportation purposes. All right, so we keep seeing these mishaps, and a lot of them are happening domestically as well, which is very strange. And there was actually a major cyber attack on Boeing just a few months ago. Okay, and once one of these things are compromised, then it opens a lot of back doors for other companies and other systems to be accessed as well, right? Because even if they just get an email from Boeing, now they can get into an email, some executive at Boeing, and now they can get into his other thing in this other program in this other system. Okay, it's a cascading effect once there's one compromise, and this was terabytes and terabytes of military data, contractor data from Boeing that was stolen just at the end of last year. It was like last October or something, I believe. All right, so this is what's happening in our country, and it could be linked to these crashes that we keep seeing as well. There also was reported that there was heavy rain at night. Right, they were flying at 1 a.m. at night, so that could be a factor as well. Right, but there's been a pattern going on, and something could be happening. All right, we also have a new warning of our military as well, that its military readiness is not fully there. All right, the House CCP panel is warning that, quote, we are woefully inadequate in our Sealift program needed for wartime. It says House CCP committee member Chairman Mike Gallagher, R of Wisconsin, warned that U.S. military Sealift program is a significant national security liability. The program is required for transporting military equipment in the event of an overseas conflict, but according to Gallagher, appears to have deteriorated. All right, and this is true. I've seen recent pictures of U.S. military ships, right? And a lot of them are transport ships, tanker ships, these fleets, and a lot of them are looking extremely rusty. They're looking extremely rusty, and this is not it's not a good look for our country, right? It's not a good look, and this is what they're warning of, that this needs to be taken care of right now. You can see here, quote, while China has undertaken a historic buildup of both military and commercial ships, the United States Sealift fleet has continued to age and go underfunded, appearing woefully inadequate for the daunting task of providing logistical support to troops thousands of miles away from the homeland, Gallagher wrote to Von Oss and Phillips, the head of the DoD Transportation and DOT Maritime Administration. All right. He said, quote, now in the middle of a new Cold War, the United States finds itself with neither the sufficient military nor civil resources to meet our Sealift objective. Gallagher noted, in the event of a conflict in the Indo-Pacific region, nearly 90% of Army and Marine Corps equipment would need to be transported to the region via Sealift on ships. However, the DoD's entire Sealift consists of just 60 ships, and the average age of a Sealift ship is 45 years old, with the majority not ready for mobilization. All right, so nearly 90% of our Army and Marine Corps equipment would need to be transported this way to a Asian Pacific region conflict, right? If something happened, and they're saying we only have 60 ships. He said, in addition, the U.S. has just 177 merchant vessels which are needed to aid the Sealift plan, down from 600 that recorded in 1990. By comparison, China operates 5,500 merchant vessels. All right, so we only have 177 vessels. We used to have 600 in 1990. Now we only have 177, and China has 5,500. And they also have all of these, they have thousands of these ships, these fishing fleets and fishing ships that are also quasi-military ships as well that are being operated by China, right? They're military, or they're fishing ships, but they're being operated by the Chinese government, and it's speculated that a lot of them actually have military equipment and soldiers on them as well. All right, you can see here, and the U.S. has just 1,800 mariners employed, less than half the number required to crew its fleet. All right, so we only have 1,800 mariner crew members as well to staff this sea fleet, To staff all the ships, only 1,800. It's not many. It's not a lot for this critical role. Quote, the combined effect of an underfunded and undersized fleet crewed by an insufficient workforce of mariners has led to a perfect storm in which the United States appears underprepared to carry out major sea lift operations during a crisis, Gallagher wrote. All right, so even that there's all these problems with our U.S. military, it has been gutted from the inside out. There's been all this propaganda and psychological operations on people wanting to join the military to exclude, to prevent people from joining. Okay, there's been all this stuff going on to demoralize people from joining the military. And now we are seeing the effects of it. All right, very sad what's going on, and it's also a national security risk as well for our country. And just a few days ago, it was discovered that in Switzerland, there were millions of toothbrushes that were hacked and used in a cyber attack. Right? I know that sounds strange, but there are now these new smart toothbrushes apparently that connect to the internet. Okay, and there were millions of them in Switzerland that were taken over and used to attack other websites and used in cyber attacks. So they used their internet connection to overload and to overrun certain websites. They used millions of them to funnel millions of toothbrush clicks essentially to whatever website they want to disable it and to overwhelm it. All right, that's what's happening right now. A very similar thing also happened in the US just a few months ago as well. The FBI was talking about this in their warning to Congress just last week, how there were hundreds of routers, probably thousands, okay? Probably hundreds of thousands, tens of thousands at least. But they're admitting that there were at least a lot of them that the FBI had to go in. They were being used in a similar way. All right, there were hundreds of routers, thousands. They didn't give us the exact number, but they're saying it was at least hundreds of them that were taken over and used for these attacks as well. All right, they were setting up this bot network with people's routers, okay, with your home router that's putting out your Wi-Fi signal for you. Those were being taken over, and the FBI in turn apparently went in and took those routers over themselves and injected code into them to prevent the attack from happening. All right, so there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes that we don't even know about, and they said they didn't even notify anyone of it because it was too urgent. So there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes that we aren't being notified of. We don't even know what's really going on. All right, there could be major breaches happening that they are not warning the public of because they don't want people to panic. They don't want people to be worried. Right? Banking systems are going to go offline potentially. Energy grid systems are the number one thing that are being targeted, because if you can turn the power off, then it affects all these other things as well. The water goes off as well because the water pumps will not work to keep pressure on the systems, to keep water going to your pipes, going to your sink. All right. Also, it affects the banking. If the power's out, then the banking's not going to work. The internet's not going to work. The servers aren't going to work. If they're able to target certain areas, certain locations, all right, where these mega servers are, like Google servers, YouTube servers, Amazon cloud servers, if they are able to target these certain locations where giant percentages of the internet are, the backbone of them are in these physical locations, because there's physical server locations building, generating the internet for you, processing all the data, processing this YouTube video right now. There's physical computers pretty much processing that data in warehouses. And if they're able to take off Google servers or YouTube servers or whatever big company with a cyber attack, even just the power, then they are able to take off the internet as well, right? All these websites are going to go down. If they're able to hit Amazon Web Service, get their servers offline, then we're going to see half the websites on the internet offline in a second. okay, just from a power outage on a warehouse housing these servers. All right, so there's a physical aspect to this as well. Once the power goes out, it affects everything. It's going to affect supply chain logistics, all the stores, all the big corporations, all the truckers, the entire supply chain is also, the logistics of it is based on the internet as well. And if they're able to take these systems offline, then the supply chain can stop. Everything is connected to this, and they're already pre-programming this with these movies. Do you remember this movie that was released a few months ago with Julia Roberts? All right, Leave the World Behind. And it was co-produced, I believe, executive produced, I believe, by former President Obama. Right? So these things are being pre-programmed into the subconscious of our society as well. So people know that this is what's happening. Right? They were in that movie, all the electric cars were just stranded and abandoned. Right? They're just left on the side of the road because you can't charge them. People try to drive to a different city, a different area, and their car just ran out of charge and they had to just abandon their car on the side of the road. Right? Same thing can happen with gas, but at least you can have your gas tanks filled up. Right? And there's going to be reserves of gas for a long time. There's a lot of oil reserves all over the country in different spots. So that will start being rationed. But when the power goes out, those heavy charge vehicles are not going to be essential anymore. All right, they're not going to be available. And they were even pre-programming that in that video. So please hit it up for me down there. Please hit that subscribe. Hit that bell too. Hit that all if you want to get notified on your phone when I'm posting a video every single day, and you'll get to see a baby chick. All right. Make sure you guys are growing your own food, getting your prepper pantry stocked up, getting these things, because it's going to be critical. All right. They were warning, we had top commanders warning to get a radio, right? Because communications are going to be down. They know what's coming. They know something big is coming. And also, like we're talking about, supply chains are going to be down. Food supply chains are going to be down. This is why it's critical to be growing your own food and have stores of it and be able to create your own systems on your own property, right? Have your own meat birds, have your own egg layers, have your own garden growing. All right, these are the things that we are working on right now. We are growing out a whole new flock of egg layers. We already got a flock outside. We're growing out another flock, and then we're getting even more. And we got meat birds, all these things. All right, so this is what you need to be doing. We got our garden going outside. I'll show that soon. A couple weeks, I'll give you guys an update once it starts rolling. All right, all these things are critical for 2024. It's going to be a big year. We know what's coming in 2024, and we know something big could happen that affects what's coming later this year in November. All right, something that could be like, this is an emergency, and you know what I mean? Things are done. We can't do this. It needs to be delayed. All right, I'm not saying that's what's going to happen, but it's in the cards. It's in the cards, and they could play that card. All right, so thank you guys so much. I hope you have big blessings for your life and your family, and I hope you have a big old blessed day.